What's up, guys and gals? Joker5150 here in Horoscope 101 once again. And this particular week our topic is Jamie Lee Curtis week. And following up right after last week, which was John Carpenter week, last week I did Halloween, and this week for Jamie Lee Curtis week I am doing the follow-up to that, which is Halloween 2. Now my buddy Ross Boy 19, he did this for John Carpenter week. I'm going to give my take on it for this week, for Jamie Lee Curtis week. I was supposed to do Prom Night, but since I don't know why I didn't even think about this movie for Jamie Lee Curtis week. Maybe because I just did Halloween, I figured, you know, why do Halloween 2? But I was going to do Prom Night, but since it was looking like nobody else was going to do this, I thought, well, you know what? I'll do this. Because, I mean, I like Prom Night, but I love this movie even more. So, since it kind of fit with Jamie Lee Curtis, I might as well do it. One thing I want to point out before I get into actual film, this DVD release was put out by Scream Factory, or Shout Factory, as everybody knows. And this was the newest release that they put out for this movie. They also put out one for Halloween 3. Hopefully I'll get to do that another time. Anyway, one thing I like about this set is this, yes, DVD collector James, this is a slipcover. He loves them. One thing I like about this set is on the DVD case itself, it has this cover, and it's a nice cover. It's like a nice art piece and everything, but I'm more of a, I don't know what you call it, traditionalist, or I like stuff to be put out the way it was, like when it was originally put out, like with original cover art, poster art, VHS art, you know, whatever. So one of the things I like that Shout Factory did is they did a reversible cover, which you could either have this and this on the back, which has a certain set of pictures, or you can reverse the cover and have the original cover art. And they even put the all new, which was up here. I remember that being, I don't know if it was on the actual poster or not, but it was on the VHS box that I used to have of Halloween 2. It said all new, so I thought that was a nice touch. But yeah, this is the original artwork. I absolutely love this. I would like to have a tattoo of that. That's just badass, I'm sorry. But yeah, this is the original artwork, so I flipped the cover and put the original artwork. And it pretty much has the same thing on the back, but the pictures, the 4 pictures are different. But other than that, it's the same information and everything. Just real quick, I'll go over some of the special features. Hopefully this review won't be as long as my Halloween review. I think it came in at 31 minutes, which I thought was funny because, you know, Halloween's October 31st, and then, yeah, my review was 31 minutes. But anyway, some of the special features. It's a 2-disc set, which includes the theatrical version and the television cut, with added footage not seen in the theatrical release. More on that in a minute. Has an audio commentary track with director Rick Rosenthal and some of the actors. I'm trying to speed this up a little bit. And it has a separate audio commentary with Dick Warlock, the guy that plays Michael Myers in this film, and he was the stunt coordinator as well. That's all. Both of those audio commentary tracks are on the theatrical version only. And then it has a documentary called The Nightmare Isn't Over, The Making of Halloween 2. And trying to get through this. It also has Horror's Hallowed Grounds, the locations of Halloween 2. I really like this series. They've been putting this out on a lot of DVDs. Like, it's a segment with Sean Clark that he created it, and he'll go to like different movie locations of horror movies. He did one on Nightmare on Elm Street. He did one on Halloween. For another DVD release, and then he did one for Halloween 2. They also have a website. I think it's horrorgrounds.com. Not sure about that, but check it out. Just do a search for Horror's Hallowed Grounds, and I'm sure the link will come up. But yeah, that's on here. I really enjoyed those. It has some deleted scenes. It also has the alternate ending, and with optional commentaries from the director on both of those. Theatrical trailer, TV and radio spots, and a still gallery. So it's pretty chock full of a lot of special features, which people that know me know I'm a big fan of special features and extras and all that. The more you can give me, the happier I am. Anyway, I just want to show you, I don't do this with everything, but I want to show you the inside. Of course, the DVD isn't in here. Duh. It's still over here in the player. But yeah, the DVD goes there. And then, of course, this is the television cut. And as you can see, the reverse side, you can see the cover and everything. Anyway, on to the movie. This movie came out in 1981, and it still has Donald Pleasence playing Dr. Loomis, Jamie Lee Curtis playing Laurie Strode. Charles Cyphers has a small bit in this film playing Sheriff Brackett. He's not in the film as much as he was in the first one. Dick Warlock is taking on the role of Michael Myers, or the Shape, as you could say. He's also the stunt coordinator. He was a stuntman. And he got the role of playing Michael Myers in this film. Other than that, and then the actress, I can't think of her name, sorry, the actress that played Marion Chambers from the first film that drove Dr. Loomis to Smith's Grove to help pick up Michael Myers so they could take him in front of the judge. She has a small appearance in this film. It's a pivotal role, though, because one of her scenes offers some information that's pivotal to the series. So she's not in it for very long, but the parts that she is in are very important as far as the story goes. I absolutely love this film. Well, let me get back to the film real quick first. Basically what happens is it picks up right immediately after the end of the first film. Like, I mean, it literally, like, it even recaps like the last few minutes of the last film, where Loomis comes in, shoots Michael Myers, and he falls out the window and everything, or the upstairs doorway to the balcony. Anyway, it picks up literally right after that, showing Dr. Loomis coming outside through the front door and finding that Michael Myers is gone. So it literally, it's almost pretty much, if you take number 1 and number 2 and cut out like the ending credits on the first film and the opening credits on the second film and slap them together, you could almost make one big movie. I love Halloween 2. Now I'll put in right here, I love the Halloween franchise, except for a few things in some of the other sequels that I could have done without. But as a whole, the Halloween franchise is my favorite horror franchise of all time. Like I've mentioned before, if you checked on my shelf, the first thing in my horror section is my Halloween films. But as much as I love them, I would have to say that I agree with John Carpenter. I believe after the end of Halloween 2, that should have been it for Michael Myers. I know. You're talking to a Michael Myers fanboy here. I love all the sequels, like I said. And I love getting to see more of the adventures of the Shape. But as far as story-wise, like if you want to tell a good story, after the end of Halloween 2, that should have been it for Michael Myers. It's almost, in a way, it's kind of silly to have any more adventures of Michael Myers. But they did, and I watch them, and I buy them, and I go see them, so I guess I'm part of the problem. But anyway, this film picks up, like I said, right after the first film. And of course, you know, the police find all the dead bodies and everything, and they find Laurie still alive. They take her to the hospital because she's got like a fractured ankle and big slash down her left arm. And I think one of her wrists is sprained or cracked or something. I think it's her right wrist. Anyway, you know, she has to go to the hospital because she's got to get fixed up. And one thing leads to another. Michael Myers finds out where Laurie is, and so he decides that he needs to go check out the local hospital and, I don't know, try to finish what he tried to do in the first film, which was kill her. And that's pretty much what the story is in a nutshell. She goes to the hospital, Myers finds her at the hospital, and the killing continues. Not much more you can say about the story itself, especially without spoiling it. John and Deborah Hill wrote the script for Halloween 2, and they approached Tommy Lee Wallace, who actually wound up directing Halloween 3, to do Halloween 2, and he was excited to do it because, you know, they saw the success that the first one had, and he thought, you know, hey, this is, you know, kind of my way into doing a successful film. But when he got the script from John and Deborah, he hated it. I mean, it wasn't a, well, I don't like it, or, well, we could work, you know, can we change something? He flat out hated it. And the problem was, the script for Halloween 2 was so different from the script of Halloween 1. In Halloween 1, pretty much the film is all about atmosphere and mood, and most of the kills is pretty much implied, like you don't really see like a lot of gore and everything. Well, that was in 1978. This is 1981. And so much has happened between those years, you know, with Friday the 13th and a bunch of other like slasher films that was trying to make a name off of Halloween's success. The movie scene had changed, and you couldn't necessarily get away with the type of filmmaking that you could back before all this had happened, back before the original Halloween. And so John Carpenter was kind of pressured, not by anybody, but like within himself, like he couldn't make a script like the original Halloween because it probably wouldn't be successful, because you'd had all these other slasher films come out since then that showed a lot more, like with the blood and the gore and everything. So he in turn in this script put in like the gore and everything, like if you've seen Halloween 2, like the needle to the side of the head, or with Dr. Mixter there's a needle to the eye. Just a lot more actual visual stuff, and that's what Tommy Lee Wallace just absolutely hated. He didn't like the way the film read, or the script read, so he turned the project down. And then they turned to Rick Rosenthal, which I think at this time he had either done like smaller projects or whatever, or maybe music videos, I'm not exactly sure, but this was going to be his first major motion picture. And so he took on the role of director, and if there's a problem with Halloween 2 at all, Rick Rosenthal even says it, there was too many chiefs and not enough Indians, if you've ever heard that phrase, or there was too many chefs in the kitchen, too many people. Dino De Laurentiis was a producer. He had his 2 cents that he wanted to put in. Mustafa Akkad, who was the producer of the original film, he had his 2 cents. Of course, you've got Rick Rosenthal, who wants his film to be a certain way. Then you got John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, who wrote it, and they thought things should go a certain way. So if there's any confusion with the film, that's what it is. Like one of the points, which was actually shot, but they cut it out in the theatrical version, which Rick Rosenthal absolutely hates. When you first get to the hospital, it's all bright. You know how hospitals are. It's all bright and everything, and then the next thing you know, it's dark, and there's no explanation as to why. Like, there's no lights, except for, like, you know, those emergency lights or whatever. It just is. You'd think like somebody was like, well, we're in this small town, we got to watch our utility bills, so at 11 o'clock at night, let's shut these lights off and just turn on the emergency lights and save us a little money. It makes no sense. There's a scene that's actually in the television cut of the film on here where it shows the power go out, and by watching the scene, you know that Michael Myers has something to do with the power going out. But that's kind of lost in the theatrical version. We have lights, we don't have lights. So that was kind of a stupid decision, and it wasn't Rick's decision either, the director. It wasn't his decision, so it had to be somebody at the studio. Anyway, just different things like that. Too many people thinking this should happen, that should happen. And but overall, I think it's a really a solid sequel. Like I said before, I think it should have been the last of the Myers storyline, especially how they decide to end the film, which I won't spoil it for those that haven't seen it. But yeah, I think it's an outstanding sequel. One other thing I want to mention is the television cut in this set. Oh my God. Now, in my other set for my original, the original Halloween, I said that there was a television version in it, and there is. But the difference between that one and this one, and that one, like I had mentioned, it's basically, it's not even really a television cut, it's an extended cut, because the original theatrical version is still intact. They just take the television scenes and add them into the theatrical cut. So it's not really a television cut, it's an extended version of Halloween. That's okay. That's great, and like I mentioned before, that's the actual version that I watch every year for Halloween, is the extended cut, because it's got more to it, and nothing's been edited out as far as like the kills or PJ Soul's titties. That's for you, Claire. In this version, this literally is the television cut that played on network television back in the day. I just watched it to review this film. I actually watched both versions. I watched the theatrical version when I got this set. I watched the theatrical version and all the special features, but I never got around to watching the television cut. Well, since I was going to do Halloween 2 for this week's Horoscope, I watched the television cut as well. Oh my God. For one, it's in full frame or pan and scan. I can't stand that. If it's originally in full frame, like the Universal monster films or like a lot of TV was in full frame, that's fine. But if I know a film is in widescreen, I want it in widescreen. But, you know, network television back in 1981, they didn't have widescreen. They had full screen, so things had to be formatted to fit. Remember that little announcement? This movie has been formatted to fit your screen. Da, 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 da. So it's in box form instead of rectangle. But I could live with that because, like I said, I know it's a television cut. Whoever, I'm not even sure who put this edit together, they butchered Halloween 2. There's scenes, like if a scene's supposed to play 5 minutes into the film and then the next scene's supposed to play 7 minutes into the film, they'll take this scene here, flip it over here, and put this scene before this scene, and they do that 2 or 3 times. There's a couple of shots where, what happens? I can't remember, but like somebody's walking around the hotel. Wow, I'm on another review, I guess. They're walking around the hospital, and they'll just insert a shot of Michael Myers' face, which is actually a shot when he's in the therapy room with the nurse, and like he's dunking her head under the water and all that. Sorry for spoiling that, whatever. You can clearly see that shot of and you can see that it's a freeze frame shot. They threw it in, it doesn't fit. Anybody that has this and has watched the television version and knows the film will know what I'm talking about. It's so, they got scenes flip-flopped and crap doesn't even make sense, and they'll throw in freeze frame shots of Myers' face just because, I don't know, it's almost like they were like, well, we've gone 6 minutes without seeing Michael Myers. Throw in a shot there. Okay, take it out. I don't understand what drugs the person was on that edited the television cut, but I hope they never worked in the film industry again because it was just destructive. I watched it one time. Of course, I saw it back in the day on television, back in 1981. I watched this disc one time. That'll be the last time I watch the disc. Now, I will say the cool thing about having it is the extra scenes that aren't in the theatrical cut, which is mostly like dialogue stuff, like between the nurses, or there's a shot between like one of the police officers that kind of takes over the law side of the film after Sheriff Brackett has to leave. Like I said, he's in the film for just a short period of time, and then this other guy kind of takes over as the voice of authority. There's a scene between him and Dr. Loomis that wasn't in the theatrical cut, and there's a few shots of Myers like walking in the hospital and opening up a door, you know, stuff like that. So it's kind of cool to see all that. Another cool thing is near the end of the film when Dr. Loomis, now this is a spoiler alert, but I have to bring it up because it's talking about the television cut. So shut it off if you don't want to hear it. Near the end of the film, when Loomis and the Marshal, the U.S. Marshal, and Marion Chambers come to the hospital, and they interact with Myers for the first time. Loomis shoots him and he falls down, apparently thinking that he's dead, and the Marshal approaches him. There's a different kill scene than in the theatrical cut. In the theatrical cut, which is kind of bad editing, as a matter of fact, because you'll see the U.S. Marshal bends down to check on Myers, and Myers grabs him, and you can see in the theatrical cut now, you can see that Myers is starting to get up, stand up on his feet, but then it switches, and he just kind of has the Marshal down, almost like laying on top of him, and he slices the Marshal's throat. So the bad editing choice was when he grabs the Marshal, you can see him start to stand up, but yet it flips and he's not standing up. So that was kind of a bad edit. But in the theatrical or in the television version, he actually stands up, having a hold of the Marshal, whips the Marshal around in front of him, and stabs him in the back. And that's how he killed him. Now what I'm thinking, since part of that standing up was in the theatrical cut, that may have been how they were going to kill him in the theatrical version, and then they thought, well, that's not good enough. Actually, thinking about it, John Carpenter had come back, and he did direct some scenes for Halloween 2, and that may have been one of John's edits. Like maybe they didn't think it was gory enough to have Myers stand up and stab the guy in the back since you couldn't see the gore or whatever. So that may have been one of John's reshoots where the guy lays over on top of him and he slices his throat. I just thought about that off the top of my head. That probably was the thing, because that's the thing. Rick had directed the film and shot it and everything. John came in and did some reshoots just on a few things. That may have been one of them, to make the story more modern, I guess, for 1981, because you know it's such a long period between 78 and 81. You know, it's like it's been 20 years, I guess. But yeah, I guess maybe with that Marshal scene, maybe they just thought the death fell flat and wanted to beef it up a little bit. But yeah, I really want to talk about the ending, but I won't because I don't want to spoil it. But like I said, for those that have seen it, that's not even a word. For those that have seen it, what happens at the end of the film, there's really no way that anything else could happen after that. But anyway, I'll end this. I'm pretty sure it's probably long again. Hopefully it's not as long as the first one. I will catch you guys next week. I'm not exactly sure what the topic is for next week. I looked earlier, but it's escaped my mind since I'm in Halloween mode thinking about things. But anyway, I will catch you guys next week. Hopefully you enjoyed this review. I will see you guys later. Check out everyone else's reviews for the week, for Jamie Lee Curtis week. And I will be checking out all their videos. I love everybody that's here on this channel. A great bunch of people. I will see you guys later, and till next time, enjoy something scary and have fun doing it. Catch you guys later.